Welcome to Stratwatch. Here in episode 3, we'll be covering the Hollywood defense strategy executed by Reunited against Cloud9 in the Overkill GG Finals, Game 2. Commentary in this episode will be provided by me, Raptorz, and I hope you guys enjoy. If you'd like to cover any of the specifics for the heroes in this strategy, you can go ahead and pause the video here. Reunited in this specific game is running a different defensive composition than you would normally see. Subbing out a Junkrat for a Widowmaker is the biggest difference here. They are running a triple support with Symmetra, a Reinhardt instead of a standard Winston per se, and of course the McCree, which you'll see in almost every composition these days, being the strongest duelist. But the core things about this composition that make it so strong is its ability to spam and zone with the Symmetra and the Junkrat in combination, which manipulates the positions and the thoughts of your opponents, forcing them into decisions that you want them to make, making them increasingly poor for the opponent, to the point where the decisions ultimately win you the fight because they're the decisions that you wanted them to make. And lastly, strong individual play will always turn the outcome of any game or any fight. And all three of these Reunited is able to do throughout this first point defense and eat up almost all of the clock that Cloud9 has to take the first point. Let's see how we got there. Reunited again is going to use this concept of aggression, spamming, map positioning, and manipulation to be able to make Cloud9 make poor decisions and not be able to have the full palette of paths and routes and options in the offense that they want to have. Again, off the beginning here, Reunited pushes out and just buys a little bit of time gaining information about their lineup. But more specifically, right here, all of the heroes are going to be spamming into this archway. This forces Surefour to push up aggressively to try to get something done. But he's quickly picked off by Valataja and unfixed through the flashbang and Junkrat spam. And this now eats up the first minute that Cloud9 has to use for pushing onto the point. They have no choice but to wait, because they can't take a 5-on-6 in this position anyways. Additionally, this entire time, Reunited is able to sit back and know that Cloud9 has to either go the far right side or has to clean up these sentries on the left side. If Cloud9 goes to the right side, which they will do here in the second fight, Reunited has sprung the first trap, or the first poor decision that they want them to make. Going to the right side of the map and not utilizing the left side at all, Reunited is able to create a concave around Cloud9's position. You'll see it first when KYKY pushes up to the left with the Reinhardt. Immediately, Reunited is going to respond by sectioning some of their heroes off to create this concave. Cloud9 is very much afraid, or is scared if not, to push into this right side because they know the Junkrat is there and they know the Symmetra turrets are there. Again, with this concept of zoning and poor decision making, the Riptire being here right now forces Cloud9 to step back and gives Reunited the presumption in the offense. The resurrection used by Morte in that position, followed by the sound barrier, allows them to push Cloud9 back behind the building and isolate the remaining 3 heroes after KYKY is dead. And this ultimately leads to the second team fight that results in a wipe for Cloud9. Again, this is all done by Reunited using this idea of proper spamming, map positioning, manipulating Cloud9 positioning, and individual plays that they can use to be in the best position possible. So that all got us to this fight. This next fight is the most important fight of point A, and ultimately Cloud9 will be able to take the point again, but they are not able to take it with a lot of time remaining, and this will ultimately hurt their chances of being able to win the game. Breaking this fight step by step, we're going to see a few of these concepts come up, as well as strong individual decisions that are important to winning games like this. First of all, again, because of the spam, because of the positioning that they are manipulating Cloud9 into, they switch to double Winston to immediately jump on Reunited and create a zone so that the rest of their team can push in. We'll see that right here when the first and second Winston go in. Valataja sees this himself and sees the opportunity that the backline is going to be open, that since none of the tanks are there. Both Winstons have dropped forward and both barriers are down to the left of Valataja. Valataja is going to see this opportunity and making a strong individual play, he's going to flank and get Reaver immediately. Although he does get picked off by Surefour right here, during this fight the 2 Winstons were able to get down, unfixed, and cruise. However, Debit does die during it. Valataja is aware of this and pushes very aggressively, knowing that Morte, being positioned around the building, is going to be able to get this resurrection. This forces Cloud9 into the second poor decision, and they eat this Earth Shatter. Cloud9 has to decide at the point of that resurrection, do they back up and try to regroup and execute another push with another initiation, or do they work with what they have and push farther in, knowing that they have a resurrection and knowing that they could potentially get the point here? They choose to do the latter. They eat this Earth Shatter, Volataja gets Sure 4, and immediately Adam is forced to use the Resurrection after Greygo, or before Greygo dies. And so they don't get Greygo, and it's Sure 4. At this point, if we go back, we see Unfixed is able to get a very clutch concussion grenade under him, and then is immediately able to combo that into a grenade that is very well executed. Again, the individual plays so far from Volataja flanking and from Unfixed getting the single pick on Sure 4 here, open up a position where Reunited again has to make another poor decision. Do they back up and regroup, or do they go in and try to take the fight? They decide to take the fight. Debit takes the front position, trying to zone away Winghaven and the Mercy that's attached to him. Meanwhile, KYKY on the other Winston is diving the backline in the far left. Unfortunately for them, Winghaven prevents any reinforcements from getting to KYKY, so KYKY is isolated in the backlines and ultimately ends up dying 3v1. But again, these increasingly poor decisions are weighing on Cloud9. Too Easy, in the far back here, sneaks up and gets a Symmetra Orb out that Adam unfortunately runs into. This prevents any resurrection from being able to get Debit, who is dying in the background now, and KYKY, who is going to get picked off right here in the front with a great Earth Shatter that comes from Winghaven. And again, we can see that this Earth Shatter and the setup for this Earth Shatter comes from that pressure and those increasingly poor decisions. The back line is no longer being zoned because Debit is dead. Adam dies to that unfortunate orb, and now this Earth Shatter is going to clean up any remaining push that could come out from this specific fight. And now Cloud9 is left with a minute and a half on the clock and no ability to continue to push. Now that we've broken the fight down step by step, and we've looked at how the game got to this point, it's easy to see that Reunited is playing their lineup to a very strong potential, and individually, they're making the plays necessary to make the lineup work. Again, when you manipulate your opponent's position and decision making, you can force them into increasingly poor decisions that result in them putting themselves in positions that are easily exploitable. Volataja's flank here comes from the fact that the Winstons have to push forward to create a zone to prevent the spam. The Resurrection coming first forces Cloud9 forward into the Earth Shatter, which then makes the Resurrection that is used by Adam easily countered by strong play from Unfixed and his individual decision making with the concussion mine and his individual play with the ability to aim the grenade, and their ability to make this third poor decision, the only decision that Cloud9 has, where one Winston has to zone the backline and the other Winston is forced to fight a Reinhardt and a Mercy with really no throughput damage. This ultimately leads to Adam dying in an unfortunate situation, and because of unfortunate situations and unfortunate decisions, Cloud9's push gets mopped up here at the end. Again, part of the defense in an offensively favored game is that you need to eat up the time of your opponent and constantly put them on the mental back foot so that they never have the opportunity to think critically about what is the best way to break down your defense. If you consistently stay up in their faces and you consistently manipulate the way they see the map, you can force them to make the decisions that you want them to. This leads to you controlling tempo on the defensive side and making it very hard for the offense to execute any push that you don't want them to. Cloud9 does ultimately end up taking point A, but with only 30 seconds remaining, the chances of winning the match is very slim and they end up losing it, going down into a 1-1 in the series. If you enjoyed this video or enjoyed my Stratwatch, please follow the channel down below or check out my other content that is linked above in my channel. Thank you very much and have a great day.